Thank you for joining me. Now, today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favourite metaphors, which is your body's like your mobile phone. And everyone laughs at me, but it's true because we have adopted mobile phone technology. If you're roughly my age, so full disclosure, I'm 51 and I'm not ashamed of that, actually. Why did I say it like that? Anyway, I'm 51. So basically, like many of you, because we're all many of us are in that demographic, grew up without a mobile phone. I mean, literally, if you ask my kids, they think I'm like a Roman. I'm that old because I didn't have a mobile phone. They find that absolutely astonishing. But here we go. So the first thing as to why our bodies are like mobile phones is that when I talk to people about owning their health and doing these simple 1-minute techniques to make themselves feel better, one of the hurdles I have to jump over, or the hoop I have to jump through, should I say, is they say they don't have any time. They always say that I haven't got time. So that's one of the reasons why one of the kind of North Stars that I have in my clinic and when I'm talking is these are 1-minute techniques. So you can't tell me you don't have time. And some of them are breathing techniques. And I always like to say, well, if you stop breathing, you die. And then everyone laughs because it's true. And it's true. So therefore, it kind of makes you think about it. But you see, as a generation of sort of natives, so immigrants into the mobile phone technology, we have all now adopted mobile phones to the point at which everyone's on them constantly. And yet, when I started delivering this message, we didn't really have phones. So if no one had time for this, they didn't have time for that. And yet they do have time for it because we're on them constantly. So what happens is mobile phones sort of come in to sort of make your life easier and then slowly but surely take over. Well, health ownership, I think, has the same kind of techniques because once you start to adopt these simple 1-minute things like a simple breath or a simple shake or a simple fluctuation on your shower, any of these things, once you start to do them, you will start to feel better. You will. And the great thing about them is you're going to feel better immediately. It's not like I'm saying, oh, yes, in 10 years' time, you might feel the benefit. I mean, if I'm honest, even supplementation in the main doesn't give you an instant hit. And most of us have grown up with taking supplements. And yet you'd have to wait at least a couple of months before you'd notice a difference, if at all. And then sometimes you're not even sure. You'd probably have to have a blood test. And yet we got our heads around it. But these techniques, you feel better straight away. If you use a tapper or shake your body, like I've shown you in these earlier episodes, you feel better instantly. So suddenly, these techniques are a bit like early use of the mobile phone. It's suddenly easier to send a text message than ring somebody for hours on end and have to go through all the chit chat because you can just send a message. It's quicker. Slowly but surely, it starts to take over. Now, the other reason why the body, I think, is like a mobile phone is that up until really this century, kind of the concept of if you can't see it, therefore it doesn't exist. That was kind of still around in the 20th century. Seeing is believing. If I can't see it, it's not there. Now, all of a sudden, we all work off Wi-Fi. So the concept of something kind of not really existing and yet having a massive impact on what we're doing is totally and utterly normalised. In fact, we've now reached the point where if there's no Wi-Fi where you are, you have a complete meltdown, and you think, "Oh my God, there's no Wi-Fi. Oh my God, I'm missing it to such an extent. I can't function without it." Now that is energy. That's energy because you can't see energy. It's formless. Energy is formless. It only starts to become substantial when it starts moving into a biological system, which is in this case your body. But the biological system could be a castor oil plant, it could be a bamboo plant, it could be the ingredient that becomes one of your supplements. But ultimately, at the beginning stages, it's a formless substance. Well, that's what Wi-Fi is like. It's kind of like orbiting about until suddenly it kind of catches into modems and she says, I'm going to stop talking about that because I'm slightly on thin ice here. But the idea of something which is kind of nebulous and invisible in construct suddenly comes into an apparatus and forms itself into something which is absolutely essential for modern life. And that's exactly what energy is. Now, the thing is again, in the 20th century, we had this understanding that energy was physical. And we were told that we were going to have an energy crisis, we were going to run out of energy. We were told that because fossil fuels were energy. We hadn't talked about renewable energies in the 20th century, even though in Chinese medicine, this is the entire system is constructed on the concept of qi or energy, and that this qi is an unlimited amount of precious source frequency. And all you are is a catalytic converter because you are the biological form, which can then convert it into all sorts of different things, i.e. yourself and your health and. So the idea of thinking about your mobile phone like your body is the same thing, that it's your body, like your phone, has got the capacity to tap into this formless substance and convert it into brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant, game-changing, fabulous stuff that's going to, you can make apps, you can have gongs, you can talk to your friends, you can stalk people on Instagram. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do because it's just harnessing this invisible stuff, and your body's the same. And it's a real celebratory moment when people suddenly realise that actually all you have to do is learn how to harness it, and you can really improve things. And these techniques to harness it are really pleasurable, like using your phone in the right circumstances. We use social media. It's fun, or it should be. And the other thing about our bodies and mobile phones is they need charging. When you've used your mobile phone too much, you look at it and it goes to low power mode. And then you think, oh, I need to go and charge my phone up. Or if you know you're going to be busy on your phone that day, you take a charger with you so that you're covered. But we don't do that with our bodies. And yet it's exactly the same concept. If you're working really hard and you're burning the candle at both ends and you're full throttle into your life, and in fairness, modern life actually requires us to basically be like that, you've got to charge your body up in the same way. And that's what these 1-minute techniques do. They charge you up. They restore the energy. And if your body, like your phone, goes into low power mode, it does exactly the same thing. It will start shutting things down. That's what the mobile phone does. If you go to low power mode, I know I can't do an Instagram live because I didn't know that at first. I used to wonder what was going on, but I learned. But anyway, the same thing with our bodies. We learn the hard way that your body will start shutting down, e.g. the reproductive system. The reproductive system is a system that the body has the power to shut down if it's feeling that its ability to live in the first place is being compromised. It will shut down the ability to procreate because bodies have two functions. 1, live. 2, reproduce. And it will shut down 2 to preserve 1. So that's a low power mode example. But getting tired is yawning. These are low power modes because the body's starting to shut down because it's saying, I need more energy. Now, the energy we confuse is a coffee and a cake in the middle of the afternoon, but that's not where energy comes from. Well, it is food, but food is processed energy. The absolute source energy is absolutely pure. And when you start doing these breathing techniques and getting out into nature and opening your body to this kind of concept, then that is literally just like charging a charging socket up into your mobile phone, charging it back up, and it's good to go. So that is why I like to use the mobile phone as a metaphor for owning your health. Now, hopefully you found that useful and slightly entertaining. I apologise in advance to anyone about my dreadful explanations of the way that mobile phones work, because I'm not the most technical savvy, but I think you get the gist. Do follow me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and please do rate and review us and say nice things, preferably. You can also watch this on YouTube, and you can message me on Instagram and TikTok.